Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today in this episode we're going to be recapping and just going over the Orioles and Tigers game that just ended about 5 minutes ago. The Orioles and Tigers just played game one of their series, where unfortunately, once again, the Orioles have lost this game. They lost 5-3. It was a close game. The offense just didn't necessarily do enough, but the starting pitching also wasn't great from Kate Povich. Some other news, Jordan Westburg and Cedric Mullins did officially get called up this morning. Maybe not called up, but did get reinstated back to the Orioles. So welcome back, Jordan. Welcome back, Cedric. So the offense is pretty much firing at full firepower right now. Unfortunately, they didn't necessarily do great today. They couldn't really get a lot of guys on, but Jordan Westburg in his return, he did hit a solo home run in this game, and it's been either almost 2 months or pretty much 2 months on the dot since Jordan Westburg has last played baseball. So Jordan Westburg's been out for a while. Welcome back, Jordan. He hits a home run in his return. That was really, really, really cool to see. Also, Cedric Mullins is back from his little 10-day hiatus injury that he had with his hamstring. So the Orioles offense, in terms of the talent that's on the board, is back pretty much at full firepower right now. But obviously they got to go out there and just produce and get wins. Kate Povich in this game didn't really do well. He gave up all the runs that were given up in this game by the Orioles. The bullpen did its thing and held it down and tried to get keep the offense into the game, but unfortunately it just was not enough. The Orioles are 26-39 on the season. They're back to being 13 games below 500, and they're one loss away from their 40th loss of the season and not even in July. So that's a little concerning, obviously, as we know with the Orioles record. But again, I still have belief and faith that this team can come back from where they're at. But let's just get right into this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles and Tigers game, again, the Orioles lose this game. This was game one of the series, and all of a sudden the Orioles are down. They're down 1-0 in this series that they're in. And obviously we know that the Orioles and Tigers did play earlier this season, where we actually got swept by Detroit. But this is the second series that we're playing them this year. This is also the last series that we're going to play them this year, obviously. But the Orioles are down 1-0 in this series, and they've also lost all 4 of the games they've played to the Tigers this year. So they're down 4-0 in the season series, but they're down 1-0 in this series right now. If they go out and win the next 2, then they'll win the series. But if they lose one of the next 2, then they will lose this series, and it'll be another series loss on the table for the Orioles, which obviously we don't need, and they don't need as well. But the Orioles lose this game 5-3. It was a close game. Again, the Orioles record goes to 26-39, back to being 13 games below 500. And right whenever you kind of feel like this team is starting to get back on track, right whenever you feel like things are starting to go well for this team, it kind of just gets taken away from you all at the same time. And on paper, this offense is the best it's looked all year in terms of the names that are playing in this game. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson is on the field at the same time that Jordan Westburg and Colton Cowser are there. So that's a first. So that's really, really, really cool to see. Obviously, I'm talking about the difference maker players. Obviously, we don't have Ryan Mountcastle or Tyler O'Neill right now because of injury, but again, I'm talking about the difference maker players like the Jackson Hollidays, the Adleys, the Gunners, the Ryan O'Hearns, the Jordan Westbergs, the Colton Cowsers, the Cedric Mullins. I'm talking about those guys. So they were all in the field today. You would have thought maybe the offense could get a little bit of a kickstart, but they didn't necessarily do too great today. And speaking of the offense, the Orioles offense in this game put up only 6 total hits, scored 3 runs off of it, went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position, and also left 6 guys on base. So they didn't have a lot of opportunities to score in this game. The scoring got started a little bit early. For the Orioles, they scored their first run in the 3rd inning because of a Gunnar Henderson RBI bringing Jackson Holliday home, and then obviously Jordan Westburg hit his first home run since coming back to the team, and also his first home run back in an Orioles uniform since he's been back from injury. Obviously, Jordan Westburg did come back today. Did get called back up from AAA. He was doing some rehab starts there, but Jordan Westburg is officially back, which obviously is a good thing. He's one of the big difference makers on this team, and he goes out there in the ninth inning and gets a home run. It wasn't enough, obviously, to there wasn't anyone on base, so it wasn't a multi-run homer, but it was a solo homer, which is good to see from Jordan. You love to see Jordan go out there and do well. I'm happy to see Jordan go out there and do well, obviously. He was on a pretty bad slump before he got hurt. He started off the year excellent like the first couple of weeks, and then he kind of simmered down a little bit. But hopefully Jordan Westburg can come back and just make a big difference in this Orioles team because they're really, really going to need it. But going over the guys on offense, Jackson Holliday in this game goes 2 for 4 with 2 runs. He is one of 2 Orioles in this game that had multi-hits. Obviously only 6 total hits for the Orioles in this game, but Jackson Holliday goes 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored. He continues to have the breakout season that we all expected from Jackson. Adley Rutschman goes 0 for 3. He struggles in this game. Gunnar Henderson is the other Oriole with multi-hits in this game. He goes 2 for 4. Ramon Laureano gets a hit. He goes 1 for 3. Ryan O'Hearn goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And speaking of Ryan O'Hearn, because it's just something I want to talk about because, again, he still, statistically wise, has had the best season for an Orioles so far in terms of average and everything like that. Ryan O'Hearn, obviously, he's still batting to .311 on the season with a .492 slug and almost .400 on-base percentage. So we know that Ryan O'Hearn's having a good season. We know he's having one of the best DH seasons in not only in the American League, but in the league in general this season. He's having one of the better DH seasons. As a guy who primarily plays DH, obviously he's been moving around to first and left to right field. But Ryan O'Hearn is back. Obviously, he's kind of back to being in a little bit of a slump like he was early on in the season. Obviously, we know May, he had an incredible month of May. He was on fire the whole month, but since the month of June started, he hasn't necessarily done a ton over the last few series. Hopefully he can get back on track. Hopefully he can get the ball rolling again, and hopefully everything will be good with Ryan O'Hearn moving forward because he's another player who we're just going to have to rely on him to do well, especially with runners in scoring position. Very similar to Jordan Westburg where, those are 2 guys you can really rely on to bring runs home, and we'll see what happens moving forward with O'Hearn. But Jordan Westburg, obviously, first game back from injury. It has been quite a while since he's last played baseball. It has actually been since the last series that he actually played was against the Tigers. So it's been a little over a month, about a month and a half since Jordan Westburg's last played baseball. So been quite a while. Welcome back, Jordan. Welcome back, Jordan. We miss you. He goes 1 for 3 in this game with a run scored and an RBI, and obviously the solo home run, which is what those numbers are from. So Jordan Westburg gets a solo home run in his return, and hopefully he can be somebody again that can just be valuable to this Orioles offense because they're gonna need to go out there and score runs if they want to win these games and they want to win these series, and if they want to get back into the season, they're going to have to really rely on Jordan Westburg to do his thing and be the player that we all know that he can be and the player that we've seen him be last year. Colton Cowser in this game goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and he also has a pretty costly error where he let a runner get to third. That run didn't end up scoring, but it was one of the plays that happened out in center field for Colton. He almost robbed a home run as well, the Spencer Torkelson home run. He almost robbed that, which was cool to see. He was like a hair off from robbing it, so it was cool to see him almost get that. Unfortunately, he could not have gotten that because, but if he did get that, it kind of would have changed the game, but he didn't. It was a hard play. Can't blame him for that one. Kobe Mayo in this game goes 0 for 3. He was playing first in this game with Ryan Mountcastle gone and with Jordan Westburg back at third. Kobe Mayo is going to be playing first pretty much from here on out. That's what Tony Mansolino said. So Kobe Mayo, the first baseman, we'll see if he can eventually be the Ryan Mountcastle replacement. We'll see what happens with that. I'm really rooting for Kobe Mayo right now because he's actually having some really, really important at-bats, and he's also going to be getting tested a lot this game. Not this game. He's going to be getting tested a lot here coming up soon because, again, Ryan Mountcastle is hurt. They said it's going to be quite a while before Ryan Mountcastle comes back, and he's not really feeling any better with his injury that he has. So Kobe Mayo is going to get a lot of reps at first. He's going to get a lot of opportunities to do well, kind of like Heston Kjerstad, where he got a lot of reps out in left and right field because of the Colton Cowser injury, the Cedric Mullins injury, the Ramon Laureano injury, the Tyler O'Neill injury to the outfield. That's why Heston got so many opportunities. It's going to be the exact same thing with Kobe Mayo at first base. So I'm really rooting for Kobe. He's somebody that last year I really wanted to see him get called up. Obviously, he got called up. He didn't really do well. Sent him back down. Obviously called him back up this season and still isn't doing very well. So hopefully Kobe Mayo can get it going. He still is looking for that first home run, so hopefully he can get it here soon. But all I know is that Kobe Mayo is going to be getting a lot of opportunities here recently, or here coming up soon at first base. And then Cedric Mullins also came back into this game. Came back today. From being on the IL list. It was just a 10-day IL. Obviously, Tony Mansolino said that he was running well, he was doing well, and that there wasn't a big deal with Cedric Mullins and his injury. So, he's all good to go. It was just a, small hamstring injury, but he is all back and ready to go. We all knew it was going to be a short stint on the IL, but Cedric in this game goes 0 for 4, unfortunately. So, this Orioles offense in general didn't play great, obviously. With the guys that I named earlier, the difference makers on this lineup, I expect them to obviously score more than 3 runs, but hopefully here soon they can just find a rhythm, man. And I've said that so many times this year when talking about the Orioles, but just find a rhythm, find your footing, and just go out there and win games by any means possible. Whether that's winning a game by really rallying up the score and winning the game in a shootout because both the pitchers have been bad and they have to win a game in a shootout, or by winning a game because of the pitching. Like whatever game that they're playing, they have to they just don't have any sort of room to lose games. So when they do lose a game, it's even more extra heartbreaking because the time for them to win and the time that they have to get their act together is just shrinking as the day goes on, and as the day goes on, even if they have a day off, as the day goes on, this team is running out of time to figure themselves out before the trade deadline comes around, and then you have to make a big decision on if you want to trade guys and just kind of punt your season. So that is a big decision that this Orioles team is going to have to make. Obviously, we'll talk more about that as it gets closer to that date, but this offense is going to really need to figure it out. This offense should be the strong point of this team. It should be the strong point of the team all season. And it's been, I guess, technically the strong point, but it just hasn't been good enough to go out there and win games, even if they're close like this. But going over the pitching in this game, Cade Povich got the start. He goes 1 for 5 in this game. He does get the loss, moves to 1 and 5 on the season. He does not have a great start. 4.2 innings, gives up 9 hits, a walk, and 5 runs. Also has 6 strikeouts and also gives up that 2-run homer to Spencer Torkelson. A 98 pitch count across 4 innings, a 5.46 ERA. Again, 5 earned runs in 4.2 innings. Not great at all from Cade Povich. You would love to have seen him have a good start, but at the same time, he is on the back half of the Orioles starting pitching rotation, so you can't expect too much from him, but it is a little just upsetting, the performance that he had today. But the bullpen, Strengthy Dominguez, Yunier Cano, and Spencer Blewett, they all did amazing today. They didn't give up a run. They kept the Orioles in this game as much as they could, but the Orioles offense just wasn't really able to capitalize and take advantage of it. So the Orioles offense wasn't necessarily amazing in this game. It was really cool to see Gunnar bring in Adley off the RBI. It was also really cool to see Jordan Westburg get a home run in his return to the team, but they just weren't able to kind of take advantage and run up the score and just get a win in this game, which at this point, that's all that matters. They don't have any wiggle room to mess around and mess up because they have to win games and they have to win series. And the time to do that, and the time to do so is running out again. And I'm going to keep saying it because, it's an important factor because obviously you would like to see this team compete. We know the talent that this team has. We know that they can compete, but this season has just been extremely disappointing, as we know. If they lose one more game, they've lost 40 games before they would have even won their 30th. So hopefully they can get the if they can get to 30 wins before they get to 40 losses, then that means that they would have to win the next 4 straight games, which obviously that would be very, very, very cool because that means that they would win this series and the next one. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the Orioles, to win this series now, they have to take the next 2. and they have to play Scooball on Sunday, so it's going to be even more difficult. But we'll see what happens with that. The Orioles, not just a sloppy game overall. Only 3 runs scored. One of them was off of a homer. Offense wasn't really there. Only 6 total hits, and the pitching, the bullpen was excellent, but the starting pitching just really wasn't there for the Orioles. And shout out to the Tigers. I mean, they played a good game, but just another tough one for the Orioles because, again, the situation that they're in, they just can't be losing games at the position that they're in right now. And if we take a look over at take a look over and look at Game 2 for tomorrow. Well, Game 5 on the season between these two teams, but Game 2 tomorrow in this series that they're in currently. Obviously, in Baltimore, it's going to be Casey Mize versus Zach Eflin. Obviously, Casey Mize has been one of the better pitchers in baseball this season. Him, Flaherty, and Scooball. The Tigers just have a 3-headed dragon of starting pitchers. And then when they don't use those guys, they do a bullpen game. So the way that the Tigers pitch, I mentioned it last episode, but the way that they pitch is just so annoying. But Casey Mize this season, a 6-1 record, a 2.9 ERA, 1.2 WHIP in 55 innings. So he's having an excellent year, and actually a really underrated season as well for a pitcher. So tomorrow is going to be a very difficult game to win, and then obviously Thursday is going to be an extremely difficult game to win because we're playing against Tarik Skubal, who is the reigning Cy Young winner and could potentially win it again this year. So it's going to be very hard for the Orioles to win the next 2. But I believe, deep down, I really do believe that this team can do it. And if they can beat Casey Mize and they can beat Tarik Skubal, that would be a very big confidence boost that this team could really need right now, moving forward throughout this month, and then obviously just moving forward throughout the season in general. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. Unfortunately, the Orioles got another loss this season, almost at 40 on the year. Obviously, you would hope that the Orioles could win this game. You could hope that they could kind of, get their act together and find their flow, but they just haven't been able to do that all year. They just won 6 straight games last week. Then they dropped the series to the A's and lose 2 out of 3. And they've already lost Game 1 to the Tigers. So they've now all of a sudden, after that 6-game losing streak, all of a sudden they've lost 3 of their last 4. And things just seem to be going downhill again in terms of the Orioles record. But in terms of the roster, they got Cedric Mullins back. They got Jordan Westburg back. They got Colton Cowser back. They got Ramon Laureano back. Like, they got a lot of guys back from injury. Pretty much everyone on offense other than Tyler O'Neill, Gary Sanchez, and Ryan Mountcastle. But at the same time, those guys weren't really difference makers for this team. Obviously, we know that the pitching is going to be injured for quite a while, so I'm not even really thinking about them. But this team just got to win games, man. I don't care how they do it. I don't care if it's an offensive shootout. I don't care if it's in a close pitching duel. They have to figure out ways to win games, and that's all that matters, and that should be all that's on this team's mind right now. Because Kevin Brown was talking about it earlier. Adley Rutschman in an interview said, if we get to 500 before the month of June, which would be crazy if that happens, but they said if they get to 500 before July, then they said watch out. And I agree. Like, if they're able to get to a 500 record by the end of June, then yes, this team is a team for people to look out for, because that would be a miraculous comeback with it already almost being mid-July or mid-June. But we'll see what happens. Again, day by day you take it with this team. That's what you do in baseball. Day by day you take it with your team, and you just see what happens, man. And obviously the season's been disappointing, but at the end of the day, you just got to stick through it, because in the end, everything is going to be worth it when the Orioles do end up figuring this all out. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow up on Spotify, and also make sure to follow the socials as well, the Instagram and the Twitter. I'm live tweeting throughout all the games on Twitter or on X, and then I'm also posted on Instagram as well with any updates going on as well. So again, make sure to follow that stuff. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for all the support that you've given me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow around the same time, talking about Game 2 of the series. Hopefully the Orioles can get a win against Casey Mize. It'd be a big win, but hopefully they can get it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace out, and let's go O's.